He was closing a $1 million deal when the call came through, a tiny, trembling voice crying, "Daddy, Mommy's on the floor. We don't have any food." At first, he thought it was a mistake, but the name she whispered. It was a ghost from his past. A woman he'd left behind. A child he didn't know existed. What began as a routine business call turned into a race against time, and a chance to rewrite everything. Stay until the end, because what he discovers next will break your heart and maybe heal his. "Daddy, Mommy fell. She's on the floor and won't wake up. We don't have food." Daniel Carter froze. The voice on his phone was small, trembling, but unmistakably real. He was in the middle of a live video pitch with investors from Houston, the kind of deal that could land his firm 8 figures. But those words cracked through every layer of confidence he wore like armor. His blood ran cold. He stared at the screen. The partners looked startled. He'd just gone pale. Without a word, he turned off the call and yanked out his earpiece. "Who is this?" he barked, trying to collect himself. "How did you get this number?" "I'm Lily. Mommy's name is Emily Bennett. Please help us." Emily Bennett. Daniel sat back slowly, like someone had punched him in the chest. He hadn't heard that name in 6 years. Not since he walked away from Willow Creek, promising he'd come back. He never did. "This can't be real," he muttered and ended the call, breathing hard. But something in that girl's voice, something was too raw to fake. He jabbed the intercom. "Brian, I need a full background on a woman named Emily Bennett. Last known residence, Willow Creek. She may have a daughter. Age unknown. This is urgent." "Understood, sir," his assistant replied, no questions asked. Daniel tried to push the voice out of his mind, to focus, but it echoed. "Daddy." He pulled out his phone and dialed the number again. One ring, two then. "Hello." It was her. The little girl. "Lily," he asked gently. "It's me again. Where are you now?" "At home," she sniffled. "Mommy's still sleeping. I touched her, but she didn't wake up." "Is anyone else with you?" "No, just me." Daniel clenched his jaw. "I'm going to send someone to help, okay? But I need your address." She recited it with surprising clarity. The same small house he and Emily once shared, back when they believed love could outlast ambition. He hung up and called emergency services. "There's an unconscious woman and a 5-year-old child alone at this address in Willow Creek. Send a unit immediately. And I want information on the girl, full name, date of birth, everything you can find." 20 minutes, then 30. Finally, his phone buzzed. "Sir, it's confirmed. Emily Bennett was found at that address, severely dehydrated and malnourished. She's being transported to Willow Creek General. The girl is Lily Bennett, 5 years old. No father listed on record." Daniel sat still. 5 years. He did the math. The last time he saw Emily, 6 years ago. The math wasn't just close. It was perfect. He stood up, a hard hammer inside his chest. "Tell the pilot to ready the chopper. I'm going to Willow Creek. And cancel everything on my calendar. I want no press, no security. Quiet." The helicopter touched down an hour later, near the edge of town. The air smelled of pine and old promises. Daniel walked straight to the house. A paramedic stepped out. "You're here for the girl?" "Yes." "Where is she?" "She's at the hospital now. We took her with her mom." The little one refused to leave her side. Daniel swallowed hard. "How's Emily?" "Stable, but she's in bad shape. Looks like she hasn't eaten in days." Daniel nodded once. "Take me there." At the hospital, he stood by her bed for over an hour, staring at the woman he once thought he'd marry. She was thinner, paler, but still Emily. The same Emily who once believed in him before he believed in himself. In the corner, curled up in a chair, Lily slept with an old doll hugged to her chest. When Emily finally stirred, her first words sliced through the air like glass. "I don't want you here." Daniel didn't flinch. "I'm not here to fight. I came because I got a call from her. She called me Daddy. And that broke something inside me." Emily propped herself up, her voice still but sharp. "Don't say my daughter. You gave that title up when you disappeared. You knew." "I didn't," he insisted. "I swear I didn't know. I wrote you letters." She hissed. "I came to your building. Security dragged me out like I was a lunatic. You were already building your empire. I wasn't part of the plan." Daniel's throat went dry. He had no memory of that. But the guilt was real and ugly. "If I had known, Emily, if someone had told me, but they didn't. And you never came back." Her voice cracked. "So don't come here now thinking you can fix everything with a credit card and a shopping bag." "I'm not here out of guilt," he said quietly. I'm here because when I heard that little girl call me daddy, I knew something had to change. And it starts with showing up. Emily looked at him for a long moment. Then she looked at Lily. She doesn't know you. I never spoke badly of you, Daniel. I told her you were far away. I didn't want her heart to carry hate. Hunger was enough. Daniel looked down, ashamed. I can't undo the past, he said. But I'm not going anywhere now. Emily laughed bitterly. So you think you can just slide into her life, be her hero? No, but I can be her constant. And maybe one day yours too, if you let me. She studied him, tired, guarded. But there was no venom in her silence now, only weariness. Fine, she said finally. But there's one condition. Name it. You don't get to make decisions. You don't get to barge in. You want to be here, you earn it. You show her, not just me. I accept, Daniel said without hesitation. From the corner of the room, Lily stirred. She looked at her mother, then at Daniel. Is that man going to live with us? Daniel knelt. No, sweetheart. I'm just here to help. But I hope I can see you again. She blinked at him, and for the first time didn't seem afraid. Daniel showed up again the next afternoon, not in a tailored suit or with a chauffeured car like he used to. He arrived on foot, wearing jeans and a navy sweater, carrying a brown paper bag in one hand and a small coloring set in the other. When Emily opened the door, her face was unreadable. I brought some groceries, he said, his voice softer than yesterday. And some art supplies for Lily. Emily didn't speak, but she didn't shut the door either. From behind her, Lily peeked out. You came back? I said I would. Didn't. Daniel crouched down and smiled. Want to show me some of your drawings? She hesitated, then nodded shyly and led him inside. Emily stepped aside with a sigh, arms crossed. The kitchen still smelled like old coffee and detergent. The fridge hummed too loudly. The paint peeled in places Daniel hadn't remembered, but the walls had drawings taped to them now. Lily's world in crayon and scribbles. He sat on the floor beside her, watching as she flipped through pages of stick figures and giant flowers. Who's this? He asked, pointing to a sketch. That's me, she said proudly. And that's Mommy. And that. She paused. That was supposed to be my dad, but I didn't know what he looked like. Daniel didn't respond at first, his throat caught. Well, he said, finally, maybe next time you can draw me how you imagine me, and then we can see if we match. Emily listened from across the room, pretending to fold laundry. She didn't trust easily, not after everything. But she also couldn't ignore the way her daughter looked at Daniel. Now curious, guarded, but no longer distant. Later that evening, as Lily colored quietly at the table, Emily and Daniel stood in the hallway. Why are you doing this? She asked, her tone still edged with skepticism. Because I missed 5 years I can never get back. I don't expect you to forgive me, Emily. I just want to be here now. However you'll let me. Emily looked at him carefully, then nodded slowly. You can stay for dinner, but don't think this means anything. I won't, he said. Thank you. Dinner was simple soup and toast, but Lily lit up when Daniel offered to cut her bread into little stars using a cookie cutter from the back of a drawer. You're funny, she said between bites. You should see my pancake animals, he winked. After Lily fell asleep that night, curled on the couch with a picture book, Daniel stood to leave. Can I come back tomorrow? He asked Emily. Only if you bring whole milk, she said. She hates the lactose-free stuff. He smiled. Done. The next morning, Emily found herself standing at the kitchen sink, staring at her reflection in the glass, wondering how they got here. A week ago, she could barely stand. Now, there was laughter echoing through her living room and a man sitting on the floor helping Lily sort crayons by color. Daniel didn't speak of the past unless she brought it up. He didn't try to take control. He just showed up every day, groceries, books, medications the doctor prescribed. He even repaired a broken doorknob without saying a word about it. Still, Emily kept her distance. She remembered the letter she sent, the unanswered messages, the humiliation of being dragged out of his corporate office by security guards. One afternoon, she found him outside trying to fix the back fence. You didn't have to do that, she said, watching him hammer a board back into place. I know, but it was falling over. She looked at the fence, then at him. Are you going to keep doing things without asking? I'm sorry, he said immediately. Habit. I'll check with you next time. She sighed, then surprised herself by handing him another nail. Next time, bring real tools. He laughed quietly, the sound catching both of them off guard. The next day, Emily had to run an errand in town. She hesitated before leaving Lily alone with Daniel. But something in her chest, something tentative and warm, said it might be okay. If she gets fussy, put on the cartoon, she said. And no candy before lunch. Scout's honor, he said, placing his hand over his heart. When she returned 2 hours later, she found Lily asleep on the couch and Daniel sitting cross-legged on the floor beside her, coloring in a child's book. He looked up, startled. I see, she said, hiding a smile. You used the purple crayon. That's her favorite. She said I could borrow it, he whispered. Emily stared at them for a long moment, then whispered back, I think she's starting to like you. That night, Daniel stood at the kitchen sink washing dishes. You don't have to do everything, you know, she said, drying her hands. I know, but I want to. She watched him for a second. What are you really doing, Daniel? He turned to face her. Trying. That's all. I don't have a plan. I don't have expectations. But I've spent years climbing ladders I didn't even want to be on, and now all I want is to earn a place at this table. Emily looked down suddenly, overwhelmed. I can't promise you anything, she said quietly. I'm still figuring out who you are now. I get it, he replied. But I'm not leaving. Not this time. There was silence between them, but not the kind that chokes. It was the kind that holds a breath. Then Lily called from the other room, half asleep. Is Daddy still here? Emily's heart stuttered. She looked at Daniel. I am, he called back. She said nothing else, but she didn't tell him to go. What would you do if the person who hurt you once came back not with excuses, but with presence? Would you let them try again? A month passed, then 2, and somehow what started as quiet visits and hesitant conversations turned into something else entirely. Shared grocery lists, school runs, laughter over burnt pancakes, and sleepy movie nights where Lily fell asleep between them like a bridge. They both were afraid to step too far onto. Emily still hesitated when people in town called them a family, but she no longer corrected them. One Saturday morning, Daniel showed up earlier than usual, holding a bouquet of wildflowers. Not roses. Not the kind you'd buy in a gas station. These were soft and sun-kissed, picked fresh from the countryside just outside the city. He handed them to Emily without a word. She stared at them, then at him before nodding slightly and placing them in a chipped mason jar by the window. Later that afternoon, they drove to a local park. Lily raced ahead toward the swings, arms flailing with joy. Daniel offered to push her while Emily found a bench nearby under a tree. As she sat there watching them, her heart thudded not from fear this time, but from a strange sense of peace that almost scared her more. You okay? Daniel asked, walking over a few minutes later and sitting beside her. I'm figuring it out, she said. You don't have to have it all figured out. I know, she replied. But I don't want to wake up one day and realize this was all just temporary, that you got tired. Daniel looked at her, then serious. You think I'd come this far to walk away again, Emily? I turned down a multi-million-dollar project overseas because it would have meant leaving you and Lily. That's not something you do for something temporary. She stayed quiet, eyes on Lily, who now sang to herself while twirling. I want this, he said gently. Not just weekends or shared holidays. I want to build a life with both of you. Not to rewrite the past, but to build something better from here. Emily blinked away the sting in her eyes. You really think people like us get a second chance? I don't know, Daniel said. But I'm standing here asking for one. That evening after dinner, Lily brought out a drawing she'd been working on all week. It's for you, she said, handing it to Daniel. You and Mommy and me. And that's our house with a garden and a dog and a son with a big smile. Daniel held the picture like it was a fragile relic. It's beautiful, he whispered. Do you think we can really have all that? Lily asked, her voice filled with something that didn't quite sound like a child. It was soft or unsure. Hopeful. Emily answered before Daniel could. We already do, baby. We're just still coloring it in. They tucked Lily into bed that night, and as they turned off the light, she asked, Will you be here in the morning? Daniel paused. I'll be here every morning you want me. In the quiet that followed, Emily walked into the kitchen and poured 2 cups of tea. When she handed one to Daniel, she said, If you really meant what you said earlier, then I think we should talk about what comes next. He blinked. You mean? Maybe we stop dancing around it. Maybe we start calling this what it is. Daniel set the cup down, eyes searching hers. And what is this, Emily? She didn't flinch. A family. A real one. The next week, Emily and Lily moved into Daniel's house, not because they had to, but because they chose to. The spare bedroom became Lily's sanctuary, painted in soft yellow with stars across the ceiling. Emily turned the back sunroom into a sewing studio. Daniel kept his home office, but now he only worked half days. The rest of the time, he was helping Lily with school projects or trying to learn how to cook something that didn't involve a microwave. One rainy morning, as they all sat curled on the couch, Lily turned and asked, "Does this mean we're forever now?" Emily smiled. "It means we're trying every single day." "Forever isn't a moment," Daniel added. "It's a choice we make again and again." That spring, they adopted a dog from a local shelter, a scruffy, one-eyed mutt Lily named Max. He followed her everywhere and slept at the foot of her bed like he had always belonged there. Time moved forward gently, but with purpose. 1 year later, Daniel knelt in the garden with a small box in his hand. "I know we've both been broken," he said, "and I know we had to find each other all over again. But if you let me, I want to be your partner. Not just in parenting, but in life." Emily didn't cry. She didn't gasp. She simply nodded and whispered, "Yes." Because by then, it wasn't a surprise. It was the next step of something they'd already begun building out of pain. Yes, but mostly out of persistence. Their story wasn't perfect. It never would be, but it was real. And sometimes real is better than perfect. What about you? Do you believe people can truly change? That second chances can lead to something stronger than what was lost? Let us know in the comments if this story moved you. Comment 100 down below, and tell us which country you're watching from. And don't forget to share this video with someone who still believes in healing and new beginnings.